Colleagues, California's lands ports of entry are the busiest border crossings in the Western Hemisphere, which creates considerable opportunities for bilateral trade and economic cooperation. Unfortunately, a recent study found that delays at land ports of entry in 2016 caused nearly $1.6 billion in lost economic output and more than 12,000 unrealized jobs in California alone. Without capacity enhancements, the adverse impacts of delays for both personal trips as well as freight movements at these ports of entry will continue to grow and intensify. The San Diego Association of Governments and the California Department of Transportation, in coordination with state and federal partners in the U.S. and Mexico, are carrying out the State Route 11 Otay Mesa East Port of Entry project in order to create a new multimodal land port of entry. Now, this project seeks to leverage technology, including interchangeable passenger and commercial vehicle primary inspection lanes, to better manage traffic, demand, and decrease wait times across all ports of entry in the region. Questions for Ms. Sabatino. I appreciate that CBP is constructively engaging with the project sponsors to identify the staffing requirements for the Otay Mesa East facility. What steps or assurances can the administration provide to state and local governments with respect to staffing for this project so that we're prepared when it's time to open?
Senator, thank you for the question, and we are always excited about the prospect of newly designed infrastructure for our ports of entry and the ability to incorporate the technology that we're working to identify and implement today at the onset and development. Regarding the Otay Mesa East Port of Entry, with any new project, we leverage our workload staffing model, and we incorporate those new projects. And with this particular project, I think the next steps are engaging with the respective program offices in the National Capital Region here, and they've been very engaged both with the San Diego field office and the local leadership, which we greatly appreciate. But we do have additional steps to work on validating the information and modeling the project to really identify what those staffing needs could be. But then we also use our workload staffing model as a decision tool for the allocation of the resources that we have authorized on board.
All right. But in anticipation of the staffing needs come 2023, two-part question. One, will that resources for sufficient staffing be part of the budget for 2023? And part two of the question is, given how long it takes to fill staffing pipelines, what steps are we taking now to ensure that there will be adequate staffing when it opens potentially as early as 2024?
Thank you, Senator. I am very pleased to be able to say that we do have a robust pipeline. It is an investment going back over 10 years in ensuring that we have a cadre of people ready to onboard, and our staffing numbers have reflected that. And we've really been limited, frankly, by training seats available at times versus not having the individuals to place into the positions. We will certainly continue to work with you and your staff on the needs for the particular ports in Southern California. And again, leveraging and briefing with the information available through the workload staffing model, which again is our best resource, and we continue to refine that resource. The workload staffing model, certainly impacted by the travel downturn, still reflected a need for officers as well as our agriculture model, because when the travel decreased, we reallocated resources to other areas and certainly demonstrated a need and a workload in things like our outbound environment, mail and express consignment facilities. So as travel comes back and that gets layered in, we do expect to see changes and increases in what the staffing models reflect as well, to include new locations.
Thank you. Next question on the same project for Mr. Burns. I understand that one option under consideration is for GSA to take possession of the Otay Mesa East facility once it's built, and then to enter an agreement with CBP to equip it and to staff it. So number one, is that accurate? And two, if that's a scenario that does play out, what other responsibilities a company taking possession of a facility like that?
So thank you for the question. I'm familiar with the project. Since the funding would be coming from the project sponsor, I haven't seen the final the final funding proposal for it becoming fully functional. But certainly, we would be prepared to take that into our inventory and begin to service it and maintain that facility.
Okay, we'll look forward to a continuing conversation about this in the year or two ahead. Question more broadly about land ports of entry. I know in California, delays and the resulting vehicle idling has had a considerable impact on air quality in the surrounding regions, including significant increase in emissions. These delays resulted in an average release of 457 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions alone per day in 2016. A recent study also highlighted how reducing delays would lower the emissions of pollutants like carbon monoxide and particulate matters. Back to you, Ms. Sabatino. How can reducing delays at land ports of entry reduce not just environmental impacts but health impacts, and what plans are in place to attempt to achieve these reductions?
And thank you for the question, and I do apologize. I think also in part answers the question that Senator Langford mentioned earlier with respect to the timeline for simplified arrival in vehicle lanes. That's our facial biometric comparison technology. We are currently testing that in the Port of Ansel Dewis and select lanes and really working with both the industry as well as our Office of Information Technology. We rolled out simplified arrival in the air environment and the maritime environment. It did move very quickly in the pedestrian environment. The vehicle environment, because of the environmental challenges that we have, it really is going to be a larger hurdle than the other deployments. But we look forward to keeping you apprised of the deployment schedule as we see it rolling out. I believe we are going to expand to an additional pilot location in another location in Texas. But San Ysidro in particular is one location that we are targeting once we have the right technology identified to leverage because of the volume that comes through that particular port. We've been engaged with the local leadership on the ground from CBP to talk about identifying amenable populations for even lanes where we could potentially pilot that in the next phase.
Okay. Thank you for your work. Look forward to the ongoing collaboration. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Padilla.